Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the Inventory Management for Multi-Channel Sales webinar today here from Discara. My name is Jessica Molitor Larson, and I am the VP of Sales here at Discara. Along with me, I have David McGoldrick. David, do you want to introduce yourself?
Hi, my name's David, and I'm the senior product specialist for Discara.
Thanks, David. Today, we're going to be talking about the retail industry and specifically focused on inventory management when you're selling across multiple channels. We're going to discuss some of the challenges companies face, as well as actions to alleviate those and thrive in a multi-channel selling environment. To kick us off, David, you want to throw the slides up there?
Sure.
As many of you know, retail is really the backbone of the U.S. economy and makes up 40% of the GDP product consumption in the US. But over the past 3 to 5 years, the game has changed a little bit. Some call it the Amazon effect, or others just the impact of the pandemic. But the need for retailers to be able to sell in multiple channels has become even more apparent. Consumer shopping patterns have changed, and more people are shopping online or even purchasing from social media platforms like TikTok or Instagram. I have to admit, I am definitely somebody that gets pulled into those Instagram ads. But the shift in these behaviors has had an enormous impact on the retail industry specifically. And what traditionally may have been simply a brick and mortar company now has to adapt with these changes. So we're going to focus on the top 5 challenges that we hear from our customers. Really maintaining orders across multiple platforms. How do we understand what's coming from where? Managing inventory and reorder levels. Understanding the profitability of the items that you're selling and what's profitable where. Delivering on that customer experience across your entire platforms. And then really the one constant for all of us, which is preparing for the future and change and growth. So let's start out with kind of the reason we're all here today, maintaining orders and sales across your different platforms. Whether you're selling items from your storefront, your website, Amazon, maybe even a mobile event, being able to understand where items are selling and the impact that has to both your sales and your stock is super important. I was on the phone with a customer recently who had both a website and a retail location, like many of you probably on this call, and they were receiving orders from their POS and their website. But they were spending hours, 3 to 5 a week, combining those reports to understand what the total picture of their sales were, what their finances looked like, so that they could put that in their ERP and get their financial statements. Not to mention, they were struggling with what were the different costs that made up those sales. It's not just the cost of that item you're selling, but shipping costs, which we all know has gone up, taxes, fees, and the fact that Square didn't speak to their shopping cart, which didn't speak to their accounting system, was a nightmare. The client was looking for one place to say, here's my source of truth. David, how are you seeing customers when you're on the phone with them managing this?
Yeah, I mean, they definitely need to see their profit and loss in real time, their real cost. So their landed costs there, especially if they're importing their products from overseas through shipment and through duty. And even if they're doing it locally, there's additional freight costs, additional charges for packaging and all this that has to be calculated in there as well. And you may be buying in bulk, and then which ones apply to which product and when. So you have to be able to analyze that and calculate the cost correctly.
Absolutely. The next challenge we see from a lot of customers is stock levels. How do they know what's coming, what's going? Understanding how do you make sure that you don't buy too much, but you also don't run too lean that you're running out of stock. Any examples you can share there, David?
Sure. I mean, if you're a wholesaler and you're selling products, you may have a lot of salespeople that are traveling around and they may be placing orders and they need to see their stock in real time of what they're having. And then once you place the order, to make sure that that stock is reserved for that customer. So that way you don't have different salespeople promising stock for other ones. Then all of a sudden you promised so much stock, but you don't have it anymore. So you got to be able to reserve it. You got to be able to track it and make sure that everyone's informed on exactly what's going on.
Absolutely, especially during the upcoming holiday season when things are moving faster than lightning speed.
Definitely.
Awesome. We're going to speak to a little bit of that in a little bit. The third challenge we hear from customers is profitability, understanding what's profitable and what's not. When it comes to inventory, David mentioned there's different items that come into that profitability, and understanding what's profitable where. Is something profitable that's coming out of the store versus online? Understanding the cost of the different channels. One of the things I hear a lot of times from customers is, how do we know what sells better where? What's profitable where? So maybe in the state of Wisconsin, if you're a Badger fan, you probably sell a lot of red items because it's football season or it's basketball season. That if you're selling in the state of Minnesota, if you have a brick and mortar store there, probably not selling as well. So the ability to slice and dice the data to be able to get down to the granular level on products to understand what's profitable, what's adding to your balance sheet in a positive way, and what's not, what's sitting there for too long. David, what are you hearing from customers when it comes to profitability?
They'd like to see it sliced and diced. You want to see it all broken up. You may have many different retail outlets that you want to slice and dice and see it. You may have other different sales channels. You may have, a website, a brick and mortar, maybe a wholesale. And you want to know what's giving you more money and more profit. And, for example, you may want to see each individual product and their profitability as well. There may be a product that's sitting in your warehouse for a long time that doesn't move. And then from there, that's costing you money and effort. Where there's other products that are fast moving and how much profit you're making on those.
Absolutely. Profitability is the name of the game. So one of the most important things when we're talking to customers. The fourth challenge is very near and dear to my heart. Growing up in a family of small business, retail specific owners, is the customer experience. How do we make sure when you're going from that brick and mortar store where you can say hi to everyone walking through the door, that your customers are getting that same experience when they're going online? A lot of times you may have a loyalty program. I hear from customers that they've got a loyalty program, or I am a sucker for a certain type of pajamas for my 1-year-old. And I have a loyalty program that when I order from them, if I go online or go in their website or store, I get that same pricing. And being able to manage that in multiple locations and making sure those customers are getting that price no matter which avenue they choose to purchase from you is challenging. How do you know that that employee working the register makes sure that Susie gets her discount, or John on the website gets that discount? And that visibility is so important in the ever changing and growing environment we're in today. The other piece to the customer experience is kind of knowing where your customers are and making sure you're hitting them with the right message at the right time. So if you send a message to someone about maybe a new opportunity, but it doesn't land, it doesn't tie to what they purchased before, it may not land right. But if you hit the right customer with something that is important to them, that could be a customer for life. David, how do customers manage this?
Oh, it all depends on the different types of businesses. I mean, I've seen it from knowing that what you're selling and who you're selling it to. For example, one customer provides and sells PPE. So for that, they would want to know the size of the company, the different types of equipment they're doing, what type of business they have, and to have a repository of knowledge on that customer. So that way, when they come to you and they ask for it, you can go there and say, hey, we know you have this many people. This is what you're looking for. We know that this is your line of business, so you need these specific types of items. And that way you can make sure that they feel like they're wanted. Another example was, for me anyways, my mom used to like to go to this one restaurant, and they kept all her information. So when she came for her anniversary, they didn't even have to tell her it was an anniversary. They said, happy anniversary. We've already prepared this table for you. We've already told the chef of your dietary requirements. Everything was already known. So knowing your customer, what they require, is always a great thing.
Absolutely.
No matter what business you're in.
Absolutely. Such an impact. And in the world where we have access to so many different places. Being able to stand out from a customer experience standpoint is second to none. The final one we're going to walk through is probably true with every business. How do we prepare for the future? This doesn't necessarily mean 5 years down the road. It could be as simple as, how do we prepare for the next season or 6 months from now? Understanding how to forecast for your business and what you have coming down the pipeline for orders, especially by season, is critical. We have trends that come in. I think of back in 2020, I bought a lot of yoga pants. So any retailer could sell me probably a lot of yoga pants working from home versus an office, versus what's selling in 6 to 12 months. Preparing for the future also means, how do you expand your customers? How do you leverage technology to grow? David, how are you seeing customers prepare for the future?
I do see it a lot with integration. Right now, they want everyone to talk to each other, communicate to each other, and that way everything works seamlessly. Instead of non-value add, I have to go in there, get this information, transfer it to another information. I have to check and create this. So automation, integration is very important in that aspect, especially if you have a Shopify store and you needed to talk to an accounting system that needs to talk to your Square. All that needs to be able to communicate and sync seamlessly. So that way there's only one source of truth. Absolutely.
Those are the top 5 we're hearing from customers. We've talked a little bit about kind of how they impact each of our businesses. David and I are going to kind of walk through what the technology looks like. Let's be honest, he's the tech guru. So he's going to walk you through a little bit of a demo on how Deskera can help and combat these challenges and fly right through that upcoming holiday season that we're all looking so forward to. So David, I'll hand it over to you.
Excellent. All right, 1 second. Let me go and make my screen nice and big. All right, you're able to see it okay?
Mm-hmm.
Excellent. All right, so we were talking about several items inside there. So one of the things I want to talk about is your sales staff when they're going around and purchasing stock. One item that we have here is called reserve stock. So I can go in here. And if I'm doing a bulk order, I can go and select the contact, of course. And then I can go and select the product. And after I select the product, let's see, what would be a good product? So many products to choose from. Yep. I can actually input the quantity here, and then I can activate the reserve stock. So that way I can reserve this. So that way I can go and do that. So I just add a record, select the warehouse, see the availability, and reserve it. That way, after it's reserved, I can go here, and when I hover over this, I can see total stock I have available, reserved stock, and available stock. So my salespeople know exactly how much stock I have available in the system that's not reserved.
Wow, this would make it much easier if you're at a trade show to make sure you don't sell stock that's not in the office.
Yep. We also have different payment gateways. So you can go here and connect to Stripe, OpenNote, and PayPal. That way, if you do an order for the customer and you need them to pay quickly, you can actually select one of these, email it to the customer, and the customer can pay it. And instead of you having to update this when it's paid, it'll automatically update here. So that way you're aware that the payment has been done. And that way you can also then go do an automation telling your warehouse or sending to your warehouse that it's time to ship out these goods because the payment's been made through our automations. So you can see we have all these different automations here. And you always can create a new automation and start a trigger. So the one I was talking about is invoice payment change. So I can go here, say it's been fully received. And then after that, I can send an email. I can inform it to a specific person or to the contact itself. So I just put in the email address. An ACC. I can include the document here so that he's aware which one needs to be fulfilled. And I can start inputting placeholders. Maybe since this is specifically for someone at the company, I just want to put in the basic information. And then I can go here very simply, please deliver goods. And spell check has ruined my ability to spell forever. So I can go and create these automations, and that way I don't have to be reminding myself, okay, go inform the team on this, go and tell them to do this. I can just have it all set up here. And we have multiple automations here as well. So if I just reset this, you can see all the different types that we have, including to reorder levels if you go below the safety stock level, to batch expiry notifications inside the system. Now let's go to products. So inside here is where you can create all your different types of products. And we were talking about supply chain and making sure that you always have enough stock. So we have something called reorder level. So with reorder level, you're able to see in pink here or get an email alert that this has gone below your safety stock levels. Then you can go here and create a purchase order directly from the screen. And you can set it up just by putting the information here as well as the preferred vendor. So that way, from this screen, I can go directly and create a purchase order, or I can get an email and then go and create one there as well. We also have the dashboard. And I can see here the sales, profit, number of customers, quantity sold, purchases, inventory turnover, days to sell, and quantity bought. And I can see it all on this one screen. And I can see the information. For example, this part A, and I can see it for each individual product here. So that way I get a clear visual dashboard of this information. To my cost of goods sold, growth, and quantity available. I also want to mention inside our products that we also have, we're talking about true cost. So inside here, we actually have landed cost. So this is where I can go create my different landed costs. So for example, first off, how do I want to break up this cost? Do I want to break it up by the quantity, the value, the weight? Do I want to manually break up the landed cost, or do I want to do it by custom duty? And I can select more than one here if I want to. And after that, when I create a bill and receive the goods, I can later create a landed cost expense against it for its freight, for its custom duty, for any additional cost. That way I can know what the true cost of this is. So that way I'm not underselling my product. So for example, if I sell cups and I sell them for I buy them for $1 and sell them for $3, that's great. But if my freight custom duty is more than $3 total with it, I'm actually losing money. And if I don't know that, then it'd be quite bad, or how to properly allocate the cost. Inside here, you can also see we have lots of different custom fields inside the system. So you can actually create your different custom fields and then filter out the data in the reports. That's giving you the ability to see exactly what you want inside there. Just to mention, for inventory, we also have batch tracking. So this is where you can track based upon expiry date, manufacturing date, as well as serial number. And of course, multiple UOM, so you can purchase in bulk. And just to mention, we also have barcodes where you can print out the barcodes here as well. Just some additional information.
David, are you able to show how integrations work? So if someone is using, oh, you read my mind.
Yep. Sorry about that. I was just thinking. All right. So inside here, we connect to different integrations. We connect to Amazon, Shopify, WooCommerce, and Square. So after you connect up your account, then your orders will flow in, your customers will flow in, your products will flow in, and we have two-way sync. So you can actually sync the products from Shopify to Descara, or you can sync the products from Descara to Shopify. You can also import the inventory. And the most important thing is the inventory transactions. This way, your inventory levels that are inside Shopify are the same as the levels inside Descara. So everything tallies. That way, everything's talking together, everything's connected, and you have one source of truth. We also integrate to WooCommerce. So this is where you can create your orders, products, sync your Descara products and inventory transactions. And we also connect to Square, where you can then import your customers, products, Descara products, sync to Square, as well as any of your orders as well. And after you set that up, everything syncs accordingly. You just put in all your different accounts, You can put in your locations, enable two-way sync. And same thing with Shopify. You can go here, enable two-way sync, enable stock in, stock out, select your locations, select your payment gateway. So that way, everything tells the truth. So, and the great thing about this is once an order is created in Shopify or Square, it'll flow over to Disquera. It'll create an invoice. Once the payment is received in Shopify or Square, it'll automatically update paid. If it's fulfilled in Shopify or Square, it'll automatically update as delivered. The stock levels will be updated accordingly. So everything stays in sync inside the system.
Wow, and definitely saves some time versus that customer that was going back and forth and doing that 3 to 5 hours a week from an Excel spreadsheet.
Correct. Yep. So we also have built-in integrations with APIs. So with these built-in APIs, you can go and look at connecting to other channels as well. We also connected third-party integrations, which such as Zapier, Integromat, Integrately, and Pabbly. So you can also look there for different triggers, or zaps, as Zapier would like to call it, to connect to third-party applications. Yep. So
do you want to share some of the reports that we can show customers?
Sure, I can show that. So inside here, we have our profit and loss report. So this is where I can select my different columns. So products, locations, classes. So I can click here on the products, for example, run the report. So if I want to see the profit and loss for every single product, I can click this and it'll generate a report. And I can go down here. I can see my profit and loss based on all my chart of accounts here. I can do accrual or cash method. If I want to do it based upon different locations or classes, I can go here and run the report. And for example, I can go here and see this information here. I can do it based on days, weeks, quarters, years as well. I can compare periods. I can select the reporting period. I can do accrual or cash methodology, hide 0 rows. I can even filter it out with custom fields. So for example, channel, location, tickets, projects, any custom field that I created. We also have in our reports the profit and loss detail report. So this allows you to drill in and see the information. So for example, if I click on sales, then I can see all my different sales transactions right on one screen. And I can drill in, see the invoice details. I can go here, see the journal entry directly from my screen. And of course, we have all our different profit and loss statements of accounts, trial balances, balance sheets. We have our general ledger. We also have our age receivables. I can see any outstanding sales reports that need to be delivered. Age payables, any products that I haven't received my goods yet for. My sales tax liability report. So I can see what taxes I'm liable for, especially if I'm dealing in multiple states. And we have our inventory report. So this is where I can start seeing different inventory information here, like my different stock levels. I can do multiple units of measurement. I can go here and see the individual stocks based upon the breakdown. So for example, if I want to see how many cartons I have, and how many cartons equal how many boxes, and how many boxes equal pounds, and how many pounds equal how many pieces, I can see it directly here. Because based upon different customers and different channels, I may be selling based upon different types of units of measurement. We also have our stock ledger report. So this is like the history of your product. From here, I can tell the entire history of what's going on based upon a date range. So this allows me to go take a look and find out what happened during this period. This is great for you if you're doing a stock take. You want to see how the stock is moving in and out of its system. And then you can determine here if everything's accurate. If you go down and do a stock take and the stock take is different from the system for whatever reason, you can immediately check here and see all the transactions that were recorded in here and look for any discrepancies that may have happened. We also have our stock aging report. So for example, having stock in a warehouse for a long time can be a cost. It may be slow moving. and it may not be relevant anymore. For example, if you think of clothing maybe have a fashion for only for such a period, and then it goes to wholesale warehouses to be sold. And you can see how long the stock has actually been in the warehouse, the total value of it that's sitting there idle, where you're paying people to maintain that stock, and look at the count level. So you can see this here and then make decisions. Yep. So you can see, of course, we have other stock reports here, including bomb assembly. You can see here, for example, I believe it's up here, is the landed cost report. So I can see the landed cost, the purchase price, per unit, total purchase price, category quantity, landed cost value, unit cost value, all here.
So it looks like almost a million ways you can slice and dice the data. Maybe not quite a million, but lots of options.
Yep, definitely lots of options here. And the key thing is being informed and having the information that you have, being able to connect to third-party integrations, and also the fact that we do have our own REST APIs, and that allows us to connect to new products in the future that allow us to, keep moving forward, because what is used today may not be used tomorrow. And it's always important to keep up on that. All right. Anything else I should cover, Jesse, or did I forget something?
I think we're good in books. Let's move over to CRM and talk a little bit about how we can help our customers from a managing their client perspective, that customer experience side.
All right. So, for example, you have your contacts here, and you have your contact list. And I can see my different segments. I can see my contacts. I can see their wonderful email addresses. And the great thing is I can see and create my own custom fields, because each salesperson and each business may have different requirements on what information you need. So the fact you can create your own custom field. Do we have any questions being flashed? Sorry, I can't see my screen. Oh, how do I get started with Discara? Okay, so you can actually go, or Jesse, would you like to discuss that?
Absolutely. I'll jump in and we can answer the questions as we go through as well. We can get started on Discara. You can work with myself, or one of the team members will be reaching out to you after the webinar. Anyone that's interested, I think we've got your contact information from the webinar. We'll reach out and talk through what that looks like and get you started. So pretty simple process.
All right. And I also see a question from John asking, customers are able to generate barcodes. Yes, you're able to generate barcodes. So under books, inside here, if I go to settings, I can go and select barcodes. This allows me to select different types of barcodes. For example, 128, 39, EANA, EANA 13, UPC. I'm able to change the DPI, height, label, top margin, left margin. So I can configure this to how I want it. And after I configure it, I can go here to products. And then I can just go down here and select a product and print it on out. So for example, go here, barcode scanner, type in the number of barcodes, save, and the barcodes are selected. Then I can go to print based upon the browser. You can then select the page that you want to use for it.
Sounds pretty simple.
Yep, pretty simple. It's not rocket science, as they would say.
Love it.
All right. Any other questions or? Okay. Nope. All right. Let's continue on. So inside here, I can see all this different information, and I can add in the different information here. And the great thing is I can also update it directly on the screen. So next billing date, I can select it here. I don't have to drill in. Mm-hmm. If I want to put in the address, I can just type here. I'm just randomly typing it in, but you can see I can just update it directly on the screen. I don't need to do anything else. I can go here and then select what I want here, and I can select more than one. So for example, this is a custom field. I'm just selecting the products they likes directly on the screen. Now, if I want to go inside, I can just go inside. I can see the information here directly, and I can browse and attach, see the information, select it and update it here. I can then go, for example, to another one. Let's see, this one looks good. I can connect my email, and this way I can just send this email out to them inside here, and then they reply back, and I can keep track of all the information. That way, all the information is recorded, because it's important to keep track of what's going on with the contact or customer in order to make sure that they have the best experience possible. And it's all in one location. So I can see the deals here. Mm-hmm. We have a ticketing system. So if they replied with any tickets or any challenges they're facing, I can see that here. And that way, when I call up the contact or the customer, I know what to expect, or the prospect what to expect. I can see any activities or create a new activity here. Link it to a deal, make the status, put any notes. I can add in any new fields or custom fields in here based upon my requirements. I can see any notes. I can add notes inside here. So adding additional information. I can see attachments, and I can actually use my phone to actually do and take pictures of the attachments inside there as well. So for example, if I have a prospect and I need to go to a site or a location to take a picture of it, I can go take a picture of it and record it. Or if it's just attachment, just put the attachment here. And I can see the log, so I can see all the things that have changed and updated in the system. Now, with all these fields, we can then go to automations. And then inside here, we can go and create new automations. And we have different methods. It could just be simply a form is submitted and then replying back to the prospect. That way he feels like you're engaging with him, to setting up a deal. So just for example, a new prospect comes in. I go here. I send an email. I configure the email saying that, whatever information I like based upon the inquiry. We have placeholders here. Do I want it based upon a campaign? I can select a campaign template here. Is it based upon a landing page? I can select a landing page here. So you can set that all up. And then I can go and then determine what happens next. The email's been opened. Then I can go and create a deal. Then I can go here and assign an owner to follow up with this prospect. And I can just go through with this. Or it could be simply, what's it called? Contact field changed. Maybe we have a contact field that says follow-up call on this date, or a follow-up call. So I select follow-up. And then I can send an email out to a salesperson to follow up based upon this anytime that's been changed, or look into this. So that way they get a good experience from that.
David, can you segment customers, or can you show how we can segment customers? So maybe I have wholesale, and then I also have retail customers that come in, and how we would segment our customers to be able to use some of that automation?
Yep. So inside here, you can see all our different segments, from direct online store to Amazon to retail. Mm-hmm. And you can create forms for these. So if you want to create forms, you can go there. And when you create a new form, you can select one. You can change it on up. And this is where you can select the segment. So for example, this is specifically for direct online store. You can put in the information here. You can add in additional fields you want them to fill in. You can select what's mandatory. And just simply just clicking on the field. Just for example. And then when they fill in the information here, it'll automatically be published under contacts. Perfect. So that way, and then it'll be based upon that segment. Then inside here are my different segments. I can see this information, how it's split on up. And then from there, if I want to do a campaign specifically on that segment, I can create a new email campaign. I can select a template or create a blank template. I can just click on these buttons here to add in new stuff. It's just simply as easy as just clicking on it and selecting it. And I can just drag it on up and go here, select the different fields. And once everything's good, I can save it. I can put in the subject, select my target audience. So these are my different segments here. That way I send the campaign only to the people that are interested in this information. Mm-hmm. And I activate and send. And the campaign's sent here. Then later I can go inside here and I can see the tracking details. So how many opened, which location, unique views, unsubscribed, total views inside here. And I can see each individual, who's opened it, who's not, and based upon their address and location. Of course, not very many people have opened these because these are all fake email addresses. But this is where you can get that information.
Love it. The right message at the right time. So Correct. Important from a customer experience standpoint.
Definitely.
I do see a question in the chat from John Fisher. It says, I see a landing page tab. Are they codeless or do prospects customers need to be savvy with implementing them into their websites?
All right, so inside here is where you can create your different landing pages. And it's simply just click on new, and then you can see the information here. You select on what you'd like, and then you can start just changing it to whatever you want, editing the text, inserting placeholders, adding additional information. For example, if I want a button here, click on the button, type in the HTML. It's simply just click and select what you'd like. You don't have to do any coding or anything like that. Collections, forms. But if you want to do coding, we don't stop you. If you want to do custom HTML, here you go. You can do custom HTML as you'd like as well. We also have metadata and embedded scripts inside here for that information. Yep. So you can also go and set it on up, and once it's good, you can save and publish. So for example, then you can map your own domain or use your default domain, and you can save it. And then you, of course, have a direct link here where you can see it here.
Perfect.
Yep. And you can see the number of visitors here. All right. Just to also mention, we have chat support here as well. So if someone wants to manually maintain chat support, they can do that. And you can embed the chat button. So for example, hi. Go here, I can see hi. 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 As you can see, you can communicate back and forth.
Mm-hmm. Another way to streamline that experience from store to online store for customers.
All right.
Finally, hit a little bit on just how the custom reporting from a overview similar to the book side.
Yep. We have contacts with deals, contacts with activities, any deals. One deals with contacts, deals with tickets, unsubscribed users. So we have all these different reports here, and you can see the information here. You can go and filter it on out. You can go here to all data, and you can go and do a custom date range or all data, for example, and see it all here. You can also go to reports, and we have our smart reports. So this allows you to customize which report you'd like. So for example, if I want deals, and I want, let's see, amount name, closing date, reason, apply. Then the information will populate here. And I can see the total amount on top of the screen.
Wonderful. Are there any questions? We've got the chat feature open from those of you watching online. Seems pretty quiet out there. All right. I'll give it a couple minutes, but if we don't have any questions online, you kind of walked through today some of the challenges that we hear from our customers frequently in the retail industry, how with technology customers are overcoming those challenges and prepping themselves for the future of what's to come and growing their business for that next phase. Who knows what the next channel of sales might be? Is it that TikTok explosion or whatever that might be? But how are we growing with the times and continuing to shift and grow and move your business forward? Any questions you have, don't hesitate to reach out to David or myself or anyone on the Deskera team. If you attended today, our team will happily reach out and answer any questions you have. Feel free to check out our website, and we look forward to hopefully talking to you all soon. Thanks for the time today, folks.
Take care.